Alright, what's up everybody? We are live and welcome back to another edition of My Endurance Live, where I go live every other Tuesday and share a topic of interest or something like this, a training tip, and how you could use interval training to make yourself a better runner. So first of all, I want to start this training call off about the preference, about why intervals. Obviously, you know, we've all heard of intervals, and we kind of have like a general idea about what they are, but I just want to give like simple scenarios and simple examples about how and when to use intervals, not only to like increase your 5K time, half marathon time, or even if you're an ultra runner, why using intervals can make you a better runner just from an overall fitness perspective. And it's super easy. So as we get into it, I'm going to break it down with some examples about how to use them for going for a faster 5K time, half marathon time, and even just like my favorite interval workout that I use for my ultra marathons, in that I build into my athletes' training plans for their ultra marathons. So a couple things we're going to be going over tonight is just the theory behind intervals, what they're doing to our bodies to, like, obviously they're making us a faster runner, but how are they making us a faster runner, and why intervals are more effective at getting faster than just running fast. And then also, like I said, if you're an ultra runner, like why we should be doing intervals, because if you think about it, for ultra runners, we run slow a lot, all the time, but they really help us. And then also I'm going to be talking about like how to map out your intervals from a strategic way if you're doing like your own training. If you're not working with a coach or using a training plan, how just to work interval training into your own training and when to use it for a specific race. So I'll be getting into that a little bit later, so make sure you stick around all the way to the end. And then also I just want to preface this call with saying, like, this is just a broad training call. This is for like educational purposes only, and more like this is a works for me. If you want more information on how it can work for you specifically, I encourage you to go to my website and click on the coaching and training tab and take your fit test, and that's the first step with working with me personally. If you're watching this on the replay in YouTube, then you can go to the website myenduranceLife.com and click on that. If you're watching this live on Facebook, just leave a comment if you're interested below, just training group or anything, and I'll get back to you after the call tonight. So if you are new to the group, I want to say welcome. My name's Eric. I'm a USCA Ultra Running Certified Coach, and I love running, talking about running, and helping other runners like you become better runners. One of the ways I do that is by going live in the group like this and doing training topics, do Q&As every once in a while, but just I really want to give back as much as possible. Again, welcome, and then if you are watching the replay on YouTube, just make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss this stuff. But if you do want to jump in on the live training, make sure you go to my website, myenduranceLife.com, click on the blue button that says join the group, or download one of my free training guides, and it's your first step into joining My Endurance Life. Okay, so with all that being said, let's get into the training. So, intervals. To keep it simple, an interval is where you run hard for a little bit of time and then run slow for a little bit of time. Run hard for a little bit of time, run slow for a little bit of time. And then we are doing this for multiple reasons. One, to get faster. But another reason is to just broaden our overall fitness level on the anaerobic side. So as you know, that when we're running, both systems are working at the same time. Our aerobic system, which is our long, slow, like endurance running, ultra marathon pace, even marathon pace, where we're really tapping into that aerobic fitness level. Anaerobic is when we have crossed over our aerobic threshold, and now our heart's really pounding, we're breathing heavier, we start feeling it in our muscles, and we can't run at this pace for very long. So that we start getting into our lactic threshold, our VO2 max, and all that other stuff if you have done any research on that. So the reason we want to introduce intervals to it, instead of just running fast for a long time, one of the easiest ways to plateau in running and to not get faster is to continually trying to up and get a new PR. If you're paying attention to your watch or like Strava segments or anything like that, if we're always trying to run fast and get faster and faster every run, that's the easiest way to plateau and not become faster. You'll get gradual increases right away, but then you're going to get to a mark and just it's going to stop. So another reason why I believe that interval training will help us continue to get faster is because we are really pushing that anaerobic side to the max. And we do that in a couple ways. So I'm going to get into, like, if we're training for a half marathon or 5K or 10K first, and then how to use interval training for that, and then I'll get into ultra running, when to use interval training for ultra running, and my favorite workout that I like to do for me and for my athletes. So first off, the harder the intensity, the shorter of time period you're going to be running hard, and then the longer you're going to be running slow. So if you've been around my endurance life for any amount of time, I like using 1's for not only building our base, but also for interval training, and then also like strategically for like race implementation too. So in this scenario, we're going to be using a 4-1 for a hard, fast interval, but we're going to be doing it backwards. So it's more like a 1-4. So we'll go out, get a warm up, run in a couple miles, whatever it takes to get warm. And then for this hard interval, we're going to be running at a perceived effort of a 9. So just about like borderline. 10 is like a sprint, where 100-yard dash. That's a 10. Where at the end of that 100-yard dash, you're bent over, heaving, like just trying to get your breath back. So that's a 10. We're not going to be doing that. So a 9 is just right under that. So we're going to run at a perceived effort at a 9 for 1 minute, and then we're going to jog slow for 4 minutes. So just remember that the harder the intensity, the longer the recovery. So run super hard for 1 minute, borderline max effort, and then jog it out for a minute. And then the harder the intensity, the shorter the interval period is going to be. So we're going to only do this like maybe 5 times. So run super hard for 1 minute, jog for 4, and then you're just going to do that 5 times. So overall, your run's that interval training is going to be 25 minutes. And then I recommend that for like people going out for a 5K, even a 10K. And the reason we're doing this instead of like the slower intervals for like marathon training, ultra marathon training, is because we really want to like just push that anaerobic threshold further away, because in a 5K, 10K, because the distances are shorter, we can run harder for the duration. If you're running a fast 10K, you're running in like the 20-minute range or below, or 25 minutes or below is like a fast 5K, and then a 10K just double that. But we can really push for those limits. So by using the shorter interval training, we're going to get that high, fast, turnover. We're going to be concentrating, just getting our legs used to running fast for, a couple miles on end. For our ultra runners, one of the reasons why I recommend interval training is because when we think about our system in a whole, like we know that we're going to be running in our aerobic zone 2 if you use heart rate training for the entire race. Every once in a while I might bump up on a hill climb or something like that, but especially when we get into those longer ultras, 50 mile, 100K, 100 miles, like we're in that perceived effort level 2-3 for the majority of the race. And so it's like, why would I want to train with intervals? Well, if we think about it, so if this is our aerobic base right here, this is our foundation, and we never tap into our anaerobic, then as soon as we get into it, we're going to max it out really quick. So the reason we want to work on our anaerobic side is to just broaden ourselves even longer, because if we push our anaerobic threshold out further, it broadens our aerobic base. So if we're looking at perceived effort or heart rate training, you might notice that like a year from now, if you introduce interval training now, that your conversation pace, say it's a 10-minute mile or a 12-minute mile, will get faster. So your conversation pace could get down to a 10-minute mile or a 9-minute mile, and that perceived effort's going to stay the same. Your heart rate's going to stay nice and low, whatever your heart rate is now for that conversation pace. We'll use mine as an example. So when I'm running, an easy conversation pace, I like to say 130s, mid 140s or lower, and then I can run. That's my forever pace, where I just jump into it, and then that's like a 10-minute mile, just jogging, easy, just able to run and talk at the same time. Whereas if I didn't use interval training, that same pace, a 10-minute mile, I might be in like the 150 heart rate range, and then that's pushing into zone 3, zone 4, where I'm not going to be able to run. That is really going to slow me down when we get into those later miles, like mile 26 beyond. So the broader our aerobic base is, it gets stretched, if you want to use that word. I think that's a good word. It gets stretched by building our anaerobic side. So one of my favorite workouts for this is a 4-1, but where we're running at a perceived effort at a 7 or 8 instead of a 9. Okay, and so what I like to do is I like to go for a 10-minute warm up, and then this is an hour workout. So it's very effective if you have an hour of time. So warm up for 10 minutes, and then I use my watch, just the timer on my watch, and as soon as I hit 10 minutes, then I'm running at a 7, 8 for the next 4 minutes. And then as soon as it gets to minute 14, then I jog it down, get back into that like easy conversation pace. I'll go from like a 7-minute mile, and this is just me personally, I'll go from like a 7-minute mile pace all the way down to like a 10, and just really jog it out for a minute, and then boom, I'm right back into it as soon as that minute elapses, and then do it again for the next 40 minutes. So then a 10-minute cool down. So it's 10 minutes warm up, 40 minutes of 4-1s at a 7 or 8 perceived effort, and then a 10-minute cool down. And by far, this has been like the biggest game changer for me, for the athletes that work with me, when it comes to just making yourself an overall better runner for fitness for ultra marathons. So but when do we use this in our training? And it gets tricky when depending on the individual. So let's just say you are an above average fitness. You have you're running for a 50K, you're training for a 50K, and you really have a time goal involved. So for that athlete, I would build in this interval training in the second. So let's use a 16-week training plan as an example. The first 4 weeks are going to be base build, where we're just really easing into it, jogging slow, doing some hiking for the first 4 weeks. The next 4 weeks are going to be the speed section, if you want to call it the speed block. And so twice a week we would work in speed training. So we would do 4-1s, like I just mentioned, and then maybe some hill repeats. So, which I wanted to bring up. Newer runners or runners who haven't been working speed workouts into their training regularly, the easiest and the safest way to start is by using hill repeats. Hill repeats give the same fitness feedback to your body as trying to run fast, and it's safer because the impact's lower, because as you're running uphill, the distance between the ground is shorter, so it's less impact on your body, and then it's easier to keep your feet more underneath you, because the easiest way to get injured is obviously by adding too much volume too quick, by adding too much distance too soon, and then by adding speed workouts into your training too soon. So if you want to start getting faster but you really haven't established a firm base, do hill repeats. It's the easiest and safest way to get the fitness benefits minus the speed results. So from an ultra running perspective, I recommend hill repeats first, then we graduate into this interval training. So for this athlete individual, we would start off for 3 weeks of hill repeats, and then we would get into interval training. And then depending on how the recovery process goes in the next couple weeks and the person's personal goals, we might eliminate speed workouts altogether and just focus on endurance for the next 8 weeks and race specific stuff, or we will continue to do hill repeats or interval training every other week based on how the athlete's recovering. So if you have super aggressive goals in a 50K, what I like to do, what I recommend is first 4 weeks, I like 16-week training plans. 12 weeks if you already have your base established. You can skip the base build if you've been running for 6 months or longer and you have a good aerobic base already set up. Then you start your next 4 weeks twice a week, 1 hill repeat, 1 speed interval. And then if you have super aggressive goals, continue with 1 speed workout or 1 hill repeat once a week until the race, up to taper, I should say, up to taper, and then just nice gradual taper into your race. And I think if you implement this into your training, not only will your anaerobic side get better so you can run faster for longer, but also your aerobic base, like your resting heart rate's going to improve, your conversation pace is going to improve, and just overall as a runner you're going to get, you're going to be building out both ends. You're going to be getting better on the speed side, you're going to be getting better on the endurance side also, because we need that recovery. Recovery is key. We can't skip that. So checking my notes. I think I covered everything. So if there's any questions, leave them in the comments right now and I'll answer them. I'd love to help any way I can if you have any questions about interval training, when to do it, how to do it, or if you missed anything from the beginning. So I'll stay on here just a minute if there's any comments. I'll just keep talking if somebody's posting a comment. So all the May minutes, you guys crushed it during May minutes. If you're new to the group, we did a challenge during the month of May where we just tried to stay active for 10 minutes every day. And then I saw a couple people post when we wrapped it up that they were consistent for 30 days during the month of May. So we want to just continue that consistency through June. If you guys have any ideas for June, I'd love to hear it. I don't know. Maybe jumping for June or something like that. But doesn't look like there's any questions or comments. So again, I appreciate you guys. I'm stoked on you. I love seeing all the Middle Monday posts. Sorry I missed the past couple recognitions in the group. If you've been keeping up on me on Facebook, it's been a super busy season for me. My daughter graduated high school and we're just super excited on that. Julie says, let's do it. Is that jumping for June? And then Dale says he's been using the 4-1s and it's really helping. So yeah, 4-1s are keys, guys. It's just the best training advice and tips that I've ever seen, and that I was given, that I like sharing with you guys. So yeah, thanks, Juana. Yeah, I love doing it for you guys. So again, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining. And remember, if you are part of our group coaching, we'll be doing our group coaching next Tuesday. So we will not be going live in the Facebook group. So if you guys want to get in on the group coaching, make sure you leave a comment or hit me up on Messenger or wherever you follow me, or check out my website. And we'd love to work with you individually. So again, happy Tuesday, guys, and we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks.